Oh, hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum. This is Muwafaq MK speaking. I'm seeing some empty chairs, so let's wait another 2 minutes for your friends to join, and then we're gonna start. So let's give your friends another minute to join, and then we're gonna start this session. It's gonna be interesting because I'll be talking about a lot of topics. So it's kind of deep dive. So be ready. Well, I think it's time to start. Once again, for the new joiners, hello everybody and assalamu alaikum. This is MK Muwafaq speaking from Thailand. I hope you are enjoying your education with us. And today I'm going to be talking about a lot of subjects, but first things first, please all of you join slido.com using this pin code. You can find it in the chat. And if you do not see it in the chat, please let me know. Meanwhile, please feel free to post any questions that you have from this session or the previous sessions. Feel free to do so. This time, I'm going to make sure I'm going to answer all the questions. So I'm assuming you are all in on slido.com. So let's start. As you know, you have recently submitted your first capstone graded assignment project, and I'm almost finished grading half of them. The other half is going to be graded by Burak. I think he finished that too. And this is how we're going to start this session. So as you can see on my screen, I have highlighted this paragraph, and it says, in this exercise, you will think about AI/ML to be used to make financial service process or product faster, cheaper, or better. So the context of the capstone project is financial one. I'm not sure why some of you have chosen non-financial services or products, and that's out of the scope of this assignment. So please, going forward, try to stick into financial projects, services, and products. No healthcare, no customer service, no other ideas, just finance, banking, insurance, these related topics. Otherwise, you will lose your grading points. And it's easy to catch up if you do a good job at the second and third capstone project, but um, try to keep these instructions in mind. Now, the second remark about the submissions is that many of you have heavily relied on ChatGPT to get the answers, and ChatGPT get very shallow answers to all questions. So the same paragraph, I have seen it 40 times. You copy pasted the answers of ChatGPT, which it's okay, but you need to edit it to give more depth to your work. And this is the comments I have given most of you. So even when you use ChatGPT, and I highly do not recommend it because it does not give good answers, um, try to edit and give more depth to your answer. Now, the third remark is in the first tutorial session, we have spent 1 hour trying to make a distinction between artificial intelligence and machine learning. So in your assignments, do not use AI/ML. They are two different things, entirely two different things. You need to reflect your understanding of the course content. And we spent 1 hour talking about what is NLP, what is computer vision, what is machine learning, what is reinforcement learning, and what is deep learning. So please try to keep that in mind. If your answer to any question, we're gonna solve this problem using AI ML, that's actually a wrong answer. Because if you say, I'm gonna use AI ML to solve, for example, credit assessment, that's not a solution. The solution is to tell me how you're gonna actually do that. So many of you have said, we're gonna use the customer service problem with chatbots. Exactly, that's the answer I'm looking for. Chatbot is a form of machine learning. So when you say I'm going to use the interaction with the customers using AI ML, that's not a solution. That's a discussion. But when you tell me we're going to enhance the user experience using a chatbot, that's a legitimate answer, and you get 100% score. Now, for those of you who get bad grades, do not panic because you still can catch up in the rest of the assignments. The grades that you have received is totally perfect and normal for a first assignment that is around 800 words long. Do not panic. It does not reflect anything, but it shows you what you need to do in the future. The last remark will be to deep dive into the challenges that you are tackling. So guys and girls, when I say guys, it's usually guys and girls. When I say deep dive into the issue you are tackling, I mean, if you are talking, for example, about stock market prediction, don't tell me that your challenge is stock market prediction. I don't know what you are actually trying to predict. There are thousands of financial signals you can predict, enable to make stock market prediction. So if you tell me that your challenge is, for example, predicting the stock market, that's not a real challenge. That's a discussion topic. The real challenge is you will be like, I'm gonna predict the stocks in the oil industry. And the stocks in the oil industry have hundreds of financial signals. You need to choose which one of those you are trying to solve. And that's already a very complex problem. But if you're gonna throw the word stock prediction and that's it, you need to be at the scale of JP Morgan chains. You need to be at the scale of Wells Fargo. And these are not even investment institutions. We are talking about, for example, BlackRock. We are talking about Vanguard. They have assets under management $20 trillion, and they are worth like 8 trillion. So those people are predicting the stock market. Those people, not exactly, they always do a lot of things. Some companies and some banks are very specialized in what they are doing, like Jane Street. Jane Street is prop trading, it's proprietary trading. They own their own assets and they trade them. I'm going to show you an example on Kaggle. Kaggle is the biggest data science competition community. And you can go here in competition and see what you are up against in the real life. These are learning, first phase learning, but then we have big competition like Jane. Yeah. So this is the last competition I have competed in. It's 2 years ago. And the winners get to win $100,000. So that's not actually a lot of money, because if you are an engineer, AI engineer or data science engineer, you make more. So it's not worth it to compete there. But if you are learning and you secure that kind of money, it's good. The winner of this financial competition was a student from London, and he was not even an AI student. He was a telecommunications student, and his background is in physics. Now he works at Jane Street, and he makes, I'm assuming, between 300 and half a million dollars per year. So this guy is not a math guru. So when you hear about artificial intelligence, you need to learn a lot of mathematics. That's somebody who's selling you snake oil. That's somebody who's faking to be a guru. You can go to this competition, make a lot of money for the companies that host this competition, and they actually offer you a job if you are in top 3 or top 10. Of course, you go through the interviews, they make sure your own work, and you get the money. So you get the money and the job. So this guy is plus 25 years old, and he's a student, he's a PhD student, he's not an AI background, and he won this competition. He posts about his work. So why I'm incentivize you here to check the Kaggle platform, for you to see the depth that you need to deal with in real life. By the way, the data is real life data, um, and it's encrypted, but you still can work with encrypted data because they are market signals, and you need to treat them as black box because they are a black box, but still they deliver cutting edge results. So this is your field. The director of academic engagement told me that you are sponsored by Emirate Financial Institution, something like this. So I'm assuming all of you are in finance and have finance jobs. And that's why in the assignments, all of them need to reflect your understanding of the course content and what you need to do. Now, this platform will help you to see what the best people in the world are doing and what the amateurs are doing. I consider myself an amateur compared to these people 2 years ago, at least. But then I've learned how to compete on this high level, and I'm no longer amateur. I can make a living out of this. Even though at that time, my level, it was not that great, but it enabled me to learn the depth of a financial challenge in real life. At that time, I was still working in an investment bank, but on a different topics. I was not doing market prediction. So I was a newbie in market prediction, and I needed to build my own knowledge to be able to compete in this competition, win the prize, which I didn't, but also apply that into my work sector, which I did, and it was successful. So when you ask ChatGPT to answer those questions, it will not give you a good answer. It will give you a garbage answer, 0 out of 10. Why I'm saying 0 out of 10, not 3 or 5 out of 10? Because you are in finance jobs, and you are expected to give better answers than most people on the street. So if somebody in the street on coffee and give me ChatGPT answer, I'll be like, yeah, that's good. That's what journalists are doing. We mistake journalists for gurus in tech. No, they are not. They're just copy pasting something from elsewhere and pretend to know. It's make believe. That's what we are seeing in the media. This is the point I want to emphasize in all the courses I'm delivering with all universities. Guys, you're gonna be the expert of your own fields, so you need to level up and have more edge on the media types on and the next guy in the street. So in here you can find the data, you can download the data, and you can actually see the source code. You gotta learn how to code. I only recommend Python. If somebody tells you R language or C++ or C, they are just selling you snake oil. AI is more algorithmic than anything else. And the most similar pseudocode that you can write in a programming language is Python. So do not listen to those old types. The technology has surpassed them. And the newer generation are working with Python. You may hear the arguments like Python is slow, there is better library elsewhere. None of that is true. I, as a professional, I also apply for jobs. I did not do that in years now, since once I finish a job, my network will recommend me a new one. But I will go into interviews with alleged gurus and PhD people, and they will be like, yeah, why you do not code in R? And at least now I will not answer and I will stop the interview. There is no advantage or a conversation that can progress with all technology. And this is the great thing. You can make the analogy between starting a business in Dubai, which is number one in the world now, if you want to be with awesome and cool people and investors and everything, or you can go to, I don't know, London. It's a good place, but if you are in new technologies, actually London is a bad example from my part. I would say you go, for example, to France. France used to be good at technologies, but many other countries have surpassed them, including London. London is technologically better than France. But now it's better if you be based in Dubai. More investors are in there, more people are involved, especially in finance in there, and it's much better services. So why go for the less option when you have the best option? Why go for a less country when you just can be in Dubai and be with the business people? This analogy is the same from programming languages. Why learn R, which is not even a real programming language, when you can learn Python? Why this is important? I keep asking these questions because I was in your position and I asked myself that, and nobody, absolutely nobody have answered me. It's because for you to be able and to go into the source code and you see how your global peers are solving real financial issues. And you can read the source code. It's fairly simple. That's why I love Python. And it have all the necessary functions you need. That will tell you lies about other libraries have, other programming languages have better libraries. That's not true. That's not true at all. You need to be able to understand source code as reading a book. For example, if you are, I don't know what famous books in the Middle East people read, but if you open, like, for example, I love Khalil Dimna a lot. I have read Khalil Dimna 3 times. It's full of wisdom. And you need to be able to read a Python source code as you are reading a book. And this is how you gain advantage over your colleagues at work, and maybe in the future if you want to venture by yourself. Now, this needs to be somehow reflected in your assignment. If you tell me we're going to solve this with AI ML, that's not an answer. If you tell me this is credit and loan, that's not a challenge. That's AI and ML is a discussion. Credit assessment is a discussion. Market prediction is a discussion. It's not a challenge and solution. I'll give you an example of a real challenge and a real solution. We're gonna predict oil prices in the Middle East for the next 2 years. And for that, we're gonna use natural language processing to process the news. For example, the war in Russia and Ukraine have impacted the price of oil and gas in the Middle East. How you're gonna do that using AI? You're gonna use NLP to process Russian news, Ukrainian news, and Middle Eastern news to know if there is faith on the market is gonna appreciate or depreciate. Now, this is the real challenge. I'm talking about the real problem, being specific about what I want. And this is still a very complex challenge. It will take you at least 1 to 2 years with an entire engineering team, with people who have 50, 20 years of expertise to solve this complex problem. Now, the data aspect of it, you need an entire data engineering team to solve that issue. How are you going to do that in a bank? It's actually up for you to tell me how you're going to do it because you actually work there. I do not know your organization more than you do. So you are the experts on that subject. So I'm expecting you when to answer to tell me. I'm back in the Q&A thing. If you have questions about what I'm saying, I'm expecting you to tell me what actual physical, touchable, concrete challenge that you have faced in your own organization. You can choose a fictional one. I think one of you have struggled with a real life challenge. I love that assignment. He was talking about there is too many credit card options, and every credit card have many advantages. And his solution was to build an AI model that analyzes what you are purchasing, aggregate all your data, and actually recommend the best credit card on the market. So you have many banks, and every bank will have like 3 to 5 different credit cards with different advantages. And he said, I'm going to use NLP to process, I think NLP, to process all of that and recommend the best possible credit card for you. Well, I did not see anything on the market that does that. That's a novel idea. And I told him that this is a good idea. And this is what I'm actually looking for. That was very specific. But if you tell me it's loan, what kind of loan are you giving? What kind of actual problem that you are facing? I know there is a long process, but tell me about the process. Maybe the problem is not an AI problem. And believe it or not, so what big companies and banks, what they do, they go to big consultancy companies, which most of them will scam you out of your money. And I'm saying this on my own responsibility. They will scam their clients out of money, and they will sound sophisticated in doing that. They will tell them, oh, we're going to give you AI solution, and we're going to integrate your data on big buzzwords, while the problem is a management problem. If the CEO of the bank, if the shareholders of the company do not want to digitize, that's not an AI problem, gentlemen and ladies. That's a leadership problem. So when you call a big consultancy firm from America or Europe, and the people come in suits and they dress well and talk well, and tell you big words, how to solve using technology. Maybe technology is not actually what you need. Maybe the change in the mindset that what you need. And those projects will fail. And they will come up with new excuses. They'll be, oh, now we figure out it's a leadership problem. This is very crucial at your own age to hear that, because you'll be the leaders of tomorrow. And this is a national program exclusive for Emiratis. As a Tunisian citizen, I would love to see young Tunisians go to Oxford programs to be aware of these foreigner gurus coming and telling us use this and that while we suffer from other issues. If it's a leadership issue, AI is not going to solve it for you. And I'm saying this on my own responsibility. So the first thing first, to be able to analyze your problem. AI is only 10% of the project. Machine learning, coding, and trying to come up with a genius solution is only 10%. Most of the challenge is a data challenge, but before that is business understanding. You gotta give me the juice about what you are actually struggling with within your organization. And without a good assessment, you will be scammed out of your money. So you will be like, I'm with a big bank or a governmental institution, nothing is going to happen to me. But if you deliver a bad solution, you will not get promoted. And if you get promoted once and then they discover that you did not, after 2 years, that the things that you enabled you to get promoted are not robust, that will fire back. This is, nobody talks about this. You can go to YouTube, you can go to other educational institutions, you can have whatever courses online you want to, you will never find industry experts telling you this. It's because we make a lot of money out of ignorance. Let's be clear, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. Consultants make a lot of money out of their clients because they do not educate their clients. And I'm a consultant, I'm an independent consultant. And I turned off a lot of jobs because after assessing their challenges, I figure out it's not an AI challenge. I still get paid a lot for it, but that's unethical. And everybody's talking about ethics, and they still on board on AI data jobs where they know for 100% sure it's a management or a leadership or a cultural problem. So I hope you appreciate this talk. I'm sure some of you will remember it for years to go. Maybe we'll meet in real life, but it's a real danger if you are leading projects in the future. And it's going to save you millions and millions of dollars. And I have seen that with my own eyes when I was able to save for one project like around 10 million euros. I've made a solution in a few days. You do not need to pay me what I don't not deserve, but I can make those coherent assessments because I have depth in my analysis, and that's what you need to reflect in your assignments. So the subject of today's tutorial is what data do you need for your use case and where you get that data from. Now, let's go back to the predicting the oil and gas prices in the Middle East. You can get your data from the news, but most of us will go to the news generated by BBC, CNN, Fox News. You guys need to take in consideration news in Russia, news in Ukraine, news in Venezuela. You are in finance. When was the last time you have read news about Algeria? Algeria is biggest big oil producer. Their opinion on the market matters. When was the last time you had read the Iraqi national and local news? Well, I'm assuming none of you, but I will go back to the Q&A, and if somebody have read that, please let me know. These kind of data sources are outside of the box thinking to get your data. You can process it using NLP. Now, the other sources of data that you can use is from Kaggle. So you can go to Kaggle in here, create an account, and go to datasets, and you just download data. Most data, you need to vet the source of it. So not because you find the dataset in here, it's legitimate. You need to see who produced that kind of data. The next thing is in this tutorial. So I try to encompass today's tutorial and link it to your capstone assignment and what you have done, which I think is good, but there is a big room for improvement. Now, what resources do you need to build and maintain your proposed AI ML system? So I can see that those who wrote the content, they use the AI ML system. Yeah, because this is the question. The answer, if you're going to answer this, we're going to solve this issue using AI system. That's not an answer. You're going to tell me I'm going to use Amazon Web Services SageMaker. SageMaker is the oldest AI platform to solve this. So what resources are you going to use? You're going to use cloud resources. You can use Google Vertex AI. You can use Azure Machine Learning Studio. You can use Databricks Machine Learning Studio. These are resources that you can use. You can also play with Google Colab. If you do not want to pay money, go to Google Colab and boom. And here I was playing with a Stable Diffusion notebook and it's in my um, Chrome history. And you can actually execute any source code for free using both CPU, TPU, and GPU. So these are the hardware accelerators that you can use, and it's free. Now, moving on to the next, how does your proposed AI ML solution fit into the existing business process and culture? I will give example of the two banks I worked with. So I worked with a French German bank, and that was challenging in terms of culture. The Germans have a different working culture than the French. The German were more technology driven, while the French, they prefer to do things manually. So if you are in a meeting with executives in two different departments, in two different countries, in two different cultures, and you are the data scientist or the financial tech guru on the team, you need to know how to sell your idea or sell your solution to people that comes from different backgrounds. So at least in my case, and this is not generalized, if I'm talking with executives in the bank, it's mainly the CTO. He was my direct manager. Um, I do not need to shock them about the use of technology because I understand their fear. If we deploy automation, intelligent automation, a lot of people will be out of jobs. And those are their colleagues. Like literally, if we apply intelligent automation, many managers will be fired because there will be no need for them. So the French were worried about this thing. On the other hand, the Germans were like, let's do it. Let's apply more AI. Let's do more intelligent automation. So how would you handle uh, this complex cultural, technological dilemma? You need to cater for two different cultures with two legitimate reasons to go for the idea and solution and not to go for the solution. Well, you need to educate your teammates. You need to educate your executives at some point. That's why they hired you. They did not hire you to be the yes person. By the way, if I have an engineer in my team and he's a yes person, he would be fired within 6 months. 6 months to 1 year, I'll be happy to fire the yes person. If you are the person in my team that always tell me no, you have better chances of me letting you lead your own team in the future because you are pushing back and you try to come up with a new narrative. So how did I solve this issue? I suggested workshops, and in those workshops were dedicated for both parties in France and Germany. So the workshop is an educational process for the French executive to understand that this will help their employees perform better And it also caters for the German to tell them, this is the technology that you want, and we are going to implement it, and this is how to implement it while not firing anybody. Actually increase their productivity and makes their life easier. This is real life scenarios. I know I'm talking a lot about myself, but because this is the experience I have seen with my own eyes. So I have solved the issue by doing workshops. And the French part, they were like, yes, this actually is going to help us. There was the fear was no longer there. And for the Germans, they were happy because we adapted new technologies. Now, what is the scope of this project? Guys, this is the depth that you need to have in your own job. The scope was market prediction, and this prediction was on metals, the metal market, like the copper, silver, um, cobalt. So it's a very niche market prediction. And they try to predict the prices in France and Germany. That's it. If you say market prediction, I don't know where are you predicting that? It can be in China. It's one of the most difficult markets to predict. One of the most famous economists says the Chinese stock market is like a pig on LSD. So you need to be niche about the market you are targeting and what you are actually doing. Now, does your proposal make business sense? So now I will go back to the student that I like his submission the most. The one that said, um, there are too many credit cards offered by too many banks, and he cannot choose which one is best for his spending. Um, that's very specific, but my pushback against that idea is that his idea can be a feature more than an entire app. Why? It's because you're going to only use it once. You're going to use it for a month, and the app will understand uh, the way you are, which things you are buying and which things you are spending your money on. It will recommend you the best credit card with the best possible bank, and that's it. You will not use it anymore because, as all you know, your credit card is going to be linked to your airlines, your transportation, your government insurance, your pension. It's not easy to change credit. So he have done a great job, except for the business part. He did not show me how this can scale as a good idea. But this is a good assignment, so I tried to be hard with him. He can, I think I gave him 100%, but as a tutor, if even if you are doing a great job, I need to push you to the next level. If you do a bad job, I'll just give you your grade. But if you do a good job, I will try to push you even more to think about in-depth aspects. Okay, now for the questions, I'm going to start by the first one. When are we going to be able to view the grades? So that's the Oxford support team, and I think they will release the grades next week. And you should not be concerned about the grades because it's the first assignment. Now you know how to do it, and it does not actually reflect bad things about you if you do not receive a good grade. So focus on your learning journey because most of you will graduate this year. Now, the other one, as a leader, it is great still to be able to deliver your concept in writing, but also you think to be more talking about it, your thoughts. I think this is a good question. So before, if you have a great business idea, you need to be very fluent at writing your idea. Then that switch with PowerPoint. You need to make a great PowerPoint presentation and people shy away from writing. But I think the least effective thing is PowerPoint presentation. And I generally hate PowerPoint presentation. It numbs the mind. If somebody is presenting something on PowerPoint to me, I'm gonna sleep. I prefer two things. You write 10 pages on your idea, I will be happy to read the 10 pages. But if you are doing a PowerPoint presentation, I actually do not care about it. But it's a great executive summary of your 10 pages. I'm not an investor, so I have more time to go deep with the ideas, but I don't think 5 minutes presentation can reflect anything in real world. Now, the best thing is storytelling. So Steve Jobs, not Steve Jobs, the Amazon CEO, why I forget his name, Jeff Bezos. So Jeff Bezos have banned the PowerPoint presentation. I was like, yes, finally somebody with something. And he was like, you need to tell me a story. Guys, if you want to sell something, you need to tell a story, period. After you tell a story, you need to know how to write 10 to 20 pages about your story. If you do not know how to tell stories, you will be a bad leader. If you do not know how, oh, good morning, a lot of love and that. Thank you. So to be a good leader, you need to be able to tell a great story. And as you can see, all gurus now tell great stories. So I hope I answered your question. Now let's go to next week assignment, and I will go briefly. So it needs to be a financial challenge. So do not put healthcare. And many of you have done healthcare. I don't know why. If you are in healthcare, please let me know. If that's your case, well, that's your case. But this is an artificial intelligence and finance course, even if you work in healthcare, um, outside of the scope of this course. Now, the first part is what data is a prediction based on? We have answered that already. What resources? So data prediction, I was like scraping Ukrainian, Russian news to predict oil prices. This is how I encompassed what we have done with the tutoring session of today with next week capstone project. Now, what resources you need for technical resources? You need cloud services like Amazon Web Services, Vertex AI, or Amazon SageMaker. For human resources, you need data scientists, data engineers, artificial intelligence engineers. You need risk VM managers. You need agile managers in general. For infrastructure, it's up to you. I know banks, they have their in-house cloud infrastructure. So good for you if you have that, but I highly advise against it. Now, with the introduction of AI change the existing business model or process? Well, you need to be honest with yourself. Many challenges, like I started the topic today by saying, can be a management or a leadership problem. Most consultancy company will sell you BS, like literally BS. They will come with a hammer, with the AI hammer and the data hammer to solve a cultural problem that you are having. Does not work. So you need to be honest if AI can actually solve your challenge. What are the pros and cons of implementing the system alone? There is no implementing the system alone. Machine learning is 10% of any data science project. So you need to cover business understanding, data understanding, dashboarding is really important. The platform that you're going to integrate your AI models into it, it's so many things to keep track on. For a successful data science project in a bank, if it's a small project, you need 3 people on that project. If it's medium size, you need 5. It's a medium size can be 5 to 10. And if it's a large scale, it can incorporate plus 20 professionals. Now, given the challenges you have identified, what strategies you can adopt to potentially address some of these problems? I don't know the challenge that you will identify. So this is a bit tricky question. And for you to be able to answer it, the easiest thing is to go for large language models. But today, before moving to that, I will check the questions. When we get when we will get our grades, like I said, will be next week. I don't know the release date exactly. But guys, please keep in mind that artificial intelligence is not only large languages model. In fact, I will argue that ChatGPT is not that great product. There are many better products on the market, but people keep talking about chatbots. Chatbots are the low hanging fruit of AI. Like literally to do chatbots, you need middle school level. I was coding in high school and anybody in high school can do chatbots. That's the low hanging fruit, but it's easier for you to fulfill your assignments and get the full score. Except today, I'm gonna talk to you about the interesting topics. I thought I'm gonna spend half an hour, and then boom, there is no half an hour about that stuff. The best AI company in the world is DeepMind. DeepMind is acquired by Google, and DeepMind have created the AlphaGo algorithm. So the most complex board game ever is the Go, not the chess. So Go is more complex than chess, and it was a computer was only able to beat a chess grandmaster in 2017, and it was the first time ever in human history. So computers were able to beat chess a long time ago, but Go was the last board game that cannot be beaten by a computer until AlphaGo happened. So you can watch the documentary about AlphaGo and you can inspire from it. Because ChatGPT is not great technology. ChatGPT is the low-hanging fruit of AI. And it does not, they literally scraped Google search engine, collected the data in ways that we deem is not that legitimate. They created a massive big data set. And I think the new model is trained on trillions. And the new ChatGPT 4 have trillions of parameters, and the one before it has around 156 billion parameters. So it's about how massive your data can get. It's not about how good the AI model is. So I'm gonna share this link with you. Please watch this documentary. It's amazing. It's a movie style. And I'm glad they did not put it on Netflix. I put it on Google because DeepMind is owned by Google. YouTube is a Google product, so yeah. So what does AlphaGo do is beats the Go game using deep reinforcement learning with human intervention. And in my feedback neuroscience, you're like, we're gonna use this problem using AI and ML. No, you need to be specific. Is it computer vision? Is it reinforcement learning? Is it supervised learning, unsupervised learning? Guys, you need to be specific. And keep in mind, this is an Oxford program. It is not small university, so we expect excellence from all of you. We are not very hard at grading, but if you are in engineering school, like I was, you will need to know more. Even though you are in finance, you need to have a better level to outsmart your competition, and in many cases, outsmart your colleagues, your managers, to be on top of the work hierarchy. Now, AlphaGo was not the end of the story. And I can tell you that AlphaGo is much better model than ChatGPT. And then they created the AlphaGo Zero. AlphaGo Zero can beat Go, fairly easy, beat Shogi, another board game, and beat chess. So one model, one so the AlphaGo can beat chess, and the new variation can beat three major strategic board games that deemed it to be difficult to be beaten by a computer decades ago, even impossible to beat the Go. And here we are. From one model, we have a model that can beat three. And surprise, surprise, this was the shock in 2019. Open DeepMind have released the Mu Zero. Let me tell you something. The Mu Zero is like comparing comparing LeBron James to a football player. So I'm assuming you watch football, you know, like maybe Ronaldo, Messi. I don't know what you are watching, but imagine you have uh, a high school football player playing basketball against LeBron James. This is how great music is, and this is how big the difference in how good music is solving problems comparing to most other uh, AI models on the market. So Mu Zero can beat Shogi, can beat Go, can beat chess, and it can learn without hard hard-coded rules. It actually determines the rules by itself. But there is a human intervention to it, and most deep reinforcement learning models good have like human intervention to make them as good as they are. So please try to explore Mu Zero, AlphaGo, Alpha Zero. And now the last thing of the day is the stable diffusion. Okay, let's see the question. Should we build on the first capstone to the second, or it should be a completely different concept? I prefer if you build on the first capstone project because it's called capstone project. So every 2 weeks, you will have new questions. And by the end of the 6th week, you will build a roadmap of actually an entire project. We'll do our best the next time, so please don't be disappointed. No, I'm not disappointed. I just I'm fairly young in age, so I can feel you're struggling, and I come from a professional background like yourself. I want you guys to be the best of the best. Well, because I'm assuming in the near future I will be in Dubai, and I would love to meet all of you and see how you are doing in finance, see how you are doing in AI, and it will be great to see your progress. So it's your personal and professional progress, even though I'm hard on you on the grades, is just for the ultimate purpose of seeing you grow fast and be the best in your own field and stop relying on foreign consultancy companies. They are not the custodian of knowledge. You are the custodian of your own country's wealth and well-being. And it's really good to see you being part of big university program. Now, the last AI amazing thing I want to talk about is stable diffusion. Stable diffusion is what you are seeing now in Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google Play, App Store, all these um, applications when you can make avatars, smart avatars. All of them they are using, most of them they are using stable diffusion, and this is a much better technology than ChatGPT. Of course, stable diffusion, it was enhanced by the open source community, and you can find a lot of variations here. So you would type a text, maybe, I don't know, you can combine Elon Musk as a basketball player, and it will give you the funny, real life looking Elon Musk as a basketball player, but it also can give you cartoons and it can give you a lot of other variations. So guys, check Stable Diffusion and all of what I have talked about, AlphaGo, AlphaGo Zero, Mu Zero, Stable Diffusion, you can find financial applications to that. And I have shared with all of you resources on how to use generative AI to disrupt the financial and banking market. You're gonna find those links in your assignments. It's the same links I shared with everybody. By the way, those are the last things available on the market. I get them from NVIDIA newsletter. So I hope you read them and enjoy them and try to apply them in your own work. So this is the last chance to post your questions, and I'm seeing one. Since you mentioned Libra, that means you play. So when you come to Dubai, uh, I don't know. It really depends on the client, and I don't know. For now, I work full-time remote, but like I was comparing the bad programming languages with good programming language, comparing France and technology with Dubai potential. Dubai potential in technology is much bigger. Why be in France when you can be in Dubai? That's the analogy I make. Why programming in our language when you have Python? So it's something I consider in the future, but I do not actually know exactly when, but I know it's going to be um, in the near future. And we can watch NBA together, maybe. So feel free, we still have 3 minutes. Feel free to ask me whatever question you have. When we get our blockchain caps and grades, I'm assuming it's next week, but I'm the AI and finance tutor. There is another team working on the blockchain course, but since I started the same day, I think the grades will be released next week too. Well, I think since there are not a lot of questions, that everything was clear. I hope you enjoyed today's session. There was no Kahoot quiz, um, but I find another way. I think Slido have 100 participant capacity. So for the last session with me, it will be in 2 weeks. We're gonna have a long quiz, and we're gonna see who's the champion of this course, regardless of the grades. We're gonna have a long quiz using Slido, and it's gonna be very competitive. We're gonna dedicate half an hour for that, and please be there for the last session with me in 2 weeks because we're going to have the actual fun. There will be questions in the quiz about all of the 6 weeks and all the topics I have covered. And it's going to be a difficult quiz. It's very challenging. And I'm very curious who's going to be the smart cookie of this program. And there will be a podium of the 3 winners. And the winners can have a discussion with me about whatever deep tech topic they have in mind. So in this session, there is no enough time for me to cover all the topics. So I skipped the quiz, but the last session in 2 weeks with me, we're gonna have the best online competition ever for all of you guys. Now, is one of the materials it is mentioned that AI should be thought of as an enhancer of human worker job, not just a job terminator, which is an important point. Yeah, for now, AI is human assistant, human capability enhancer. You can think of artificial intelligence as a human extended intelligence. It extends our human capacities. So before, if you go in the desert and you're trying, for example, to go to Saudi Arabia, it's very difficult. Now with Google Maps, even in the desert, you can find apps like all trails. I'm a hiking guy. I spend a lot of time in mountains. I'm actually near the mountains. I'm seeing it raining. So we use an app to spot all trails and does not have the roads that Google Maps have trails made by humans, which are not, you cannot navigate it by a car. And they are AI powered. So AI in here is assisting me to navigate very hard terrain. deep jungles. Last weekend, I was deep in the jungle, like 30 kilometers inside the jungle. And we use the app. It's based on GPS and it's AI enabled. It's not, Google Maps cannot do anything about that. So AI in here did not take the job of tourist guides. We still have a guide. Actually, I'm not a tourist. We have a British friend that guide us through that. It did not eliminate his job. It actually made us feel more comfortable that he's relying on an app to deliver his work. So thank you for all of your questions. You can reach out to me anytime, ask me whatever questions you want, and I hope you enjoyed this session and see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye, guys.